Hi, I'm Victoria Pearson, but you can call me V. And I did say to you, I think, that I was going to maybe show you some artwork this week. I think I said that, but I'm not going to do that actually because my artwork is not yet finished. I've never actually done a canvas of this size before. It's about 100 centimeters by 50 centimeters, so it's not a massive oversized canvas, but it's the biggest canvas that I've ever worked with before. And I've found it really challenging, not least because of my shoulder injury that long-term watchers will know I've been whinging about for about 2 years now. My shoulder injury makes painting on that scale quite difficult and painting for that long quite difficult. And I also found that I was getting elbow pain as well from holding my palette up because I just don't have a surface big enough to put that painting on. And because I don't have a surface big enough to just put that painting on that I'm not using in constant use for either working on or for the children to be eating on or anything like that, I've had to hang it on my wall when it's drying between stages. And so it's been sat there for days saying, paint me, paint me, paint me, when I haven't had time to paint it because I had a lot of extra work on this week. Very annoying. Getting there though, and soon I will be able to show it to you. It's getting there quicker than it would if it wasn't just sort of in my eye line being unfinished all of the time. It's irritating me so much. That being said, I'm not painting today. I am devoting most of my day today to writing, and so I was going to talk to you a little bit about my project that I'm working on at the moment, and then my plans for my next rather ambitious project after that. I don't know what I was thinking. But first we'll talk about what I'm doing at the moment. I think I've mentioned to you guys a few times about the collab project that I'm on, but I don't know if I ever went into deeply what it is or how we're actually doing it. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about sort of how to collab with other authors. Well, this is the way that has worked for us anyway. See, a while ago, a really good friend of mine, Michael Wombat, who is a fantastic author whose works I love, and it sort of reminds me of Pratchett, even though he has never read any Pratchett, and I really, really love his style. He came to me and asked me if I would be interested in collaborating on a novel project. And I was immediately like, yes, absolutely. I don't even mind who else is in it. I don't care what it's going to be about. I want to work on this project. And then he told me that the other authors involved are Miranda Kate and Lisa Shambrook, both of whom I love their writing as well. Really, really excited to work with them. And it has been an absolute blast working with all of them. But I immediately thought to myself, even though we all do write in the same genre, we're all kind of fantasy authors, we do write in very, very different styles. And I'm really interested to see how those are going to mesh together and what that's going to be like. And as we've worked together and developed this world together, it has been a really interesting meeting of styles and approaches to writing and approaches to world building. And it has been really, really interesting and really good fun working with all of these different authors, with all of these different styles for one particular story. And I think because of that mishmash and mix up of styles, it is going to be a really, really interesting and fun story for you guys to read as well. It's definitely been fun for me to write my part. So the way that we worked it was, we started just like Tolkien with a map. And at first the map was very, very bare and empty. And as we've gone along and built the world and written parts and fleshed it all out, we have added things to this map. And at the moment it looks something like this. And I've never written using a map before, but it's been a really good way to sort of hang my story structure on, because this is of course a journey type story, which again is not always the type of story that I do. So I'm kind of making a fantasy steampunk road trip odd couple buddy movie novel here in my part anyway, but each of the other authors is doing something slightly different, and it's really cool to see how they all intersect. So we started a WhatsApp group, and the way that our story is structured is we're set in the summer realm, and it has been invaded by cockatrices from a different realm completely. They're coming through a portal, and we need to somehow get to and close this portal. Our Minister of Secrets and Lies, Usulis Rassalas, knows of a spell that we can use to close this portal, but it needs really difficult to obtain ingredients. And so he activates his Agents of Secrets and Lies to go and collect the ingredients that are needed for this spell. That was our original idea. And then each of the different authors involved got to create a character, and that character was given one of the seeds of this spell, and we each had to go and obtain it as part of our story, and we had complete creative freedom over all of that stuff. So everybody approached it in different ways. One of our authors used a character from her own series of novels who can time travel and travel through various different dimensions, and so she is coming from a different world as well now, which wasn't in the original plan but actually works really, really well for the story. My character is, if you play Dungeons and Dragons, my character is the thief, the spy, and their sidekick is probably the paladin. So that's been an interesting sort of odd couple thing. And then we've got warrior, who's a different author who's taken a warrior, and another one has got a sort of healing mage, and so it's all sort of very Dungeons and Dragons-y, but we've created quite a quirky and modern world together as we've gone through, I think. It's very steampunk, it's very fantasy. Again, it's not one that is for children. One of our characters is called Cleave Skull. He needed to be able to cleave some skulls. Another character was born in a brothel, and so it isn't really a children's story, but I think it is going to be a really fun young adult read. We are aiming it at adults. And as we've gone along, this story has grown and grown, and between us, we've written way over 100,000 words already and we're not finished yet. So now we're thinking it's going to be a trilogy set in the Summer Realm, and I'm just so excited to be able to start sharing bits with you soon. It's also my first time writing a long form with a non-binary main character. And actually, I thought that would be a lot more challenging than it turned out to be. I don't actually know what Ash's gender at birth was, but they're very, very cagey about that. They don't want anybody to know that sort of personal information about them. And so even as the writer, I don't actually know. And I did think that it would be grammatically difficult. And for that reason, I did break a slight grammar rule. Normally when I'm editing something, I would say to somebody, you don't need to say they both or they all because it's already implied by the they. But because we're using the singular they, then you do need the they both, they all, which does make it sound slightly archaic occasionally, but I think that that's okay in a steampunk fantasy world anyway. But actually, once I got past the first sort of chapter, I haven't found it at all difficult to write, and I don't think any of my test readers so far have found it difficult to read at all either. And so that has been an interesting thing for me that I thought would be very challenging, but actually isn't. It's just very fun. Ash plays with their gender ambiguity in order to utilize their skills as a spy, and it's been really, really fun to do that and to play with the different ways that people respond to and react to Ash depending on what gender they have assumed that Ash is. And so that has been something that I did sort of anticipate being a big challenge that actually didn't turn out to be a challenge at all. I actually thought it would be a really big challenge as well to bring writers with such very different styles together, but I haven't found that a challenge either. It's been really, really fun to build the world in these conversations in our WhatsApp groups, when one of us will just come up and say, so in this world, how do they pass messages over long distance? Or, you know, what is the street lighting like in this world? And we'll all go off on a little tangent about various different things. And it can be sparked by the smallest thing, a character saying, oh God, and then you're like, oh, but do they have gods in this world? And then that sparks a conversation as well. And it has just been really, really fun to do that as a part of a group project. I'm going to miss that the next time I'm writing on my own, I think. Maybe that is why I set myself the crazy patron challenge, but yeah, we'll come to that in a bit. I am now reaching the thrilling climax of my part of the story, and I'm really looking forward to the stage where we get to weave it all together at the end and find our resolution. Or not, because if you've read my stories, you know I don't always give my characters a nice happy ever after. Some of our authors do, I think. Sometimes. We'll see. So that is what I'm working on at the moment. But But the eagle-eyed among you will have spotted, because I made it a public post on Patreon as well, that I have made the commitment. Why did I do this? I've made the commitment to, once I've finished that project, dive into writing a novel that might turn into a novella. Live on Patreon, I will talk you guys through my planning process. You will get to see my extremely messy first draft chapters on there. You will get to throw your ideas in and ask your editing questions as well, and help shape the story as it goes along, perhaps. All I'm going to tell you at the moment is that it features my current hyperfocus, which is the ancient Greek gods. I'm very into it at the moment because of Epic the Musical and because of Chaos, which was a fantastic show that shouldn't have been cancelled, by the way, but I've ranted about that before. And so it will be ancient Greek gods flavored, but it is going to be set in the modern day, and it's, you know, it's one of my stories. It's going to be strange, it's going to be quirky, it's going to be not quite what you expect it to be. You guys can join my Patreon for £1 a month. Tell you, one of the perks on the silver tier for the £2 a month, I think it is, or £3 a month, I can't remember, but one of the perks on that is that you get a shout out in my sporadic newsletter. To let you know how sporadic that is, I don't think I've done one last year or this year yet. I only really release one when I've got a new book coming out. So if you sign up for my newsletter, don't expect a newsletter anytime soon. But yeah, you can sign up for Patreon for £1 a month. There are other tiers as well that unlock extra benefits for you. But it is a bit quiet on there at the moment because I am working on the collab project. I am going to be sharing extracts of that there before I share them anywhere else though, so you'll get to see extracts of it before it's released, and there are some extracts of it on there already. But yeah, the live novel writing is going to start happening around summer sort of time, so join up before then so that you can be a part of that. I will try it and remember, if I'm clever, to put the link to it down here. There is a free trial available on there as well, so you can go in and read some of my stories on there for free to decide if it is the sort of thing that you like before you sign up to it. Hopefully there will be a few more short stories on there before I start the live novel writing project as well that are not related to the summer realm, because not all of my stories are fantasy based. Some of them are dystopia, some of them are sci-fi, some of them are a little bit horror. I do a little bit of all sorts of genres, but because some of you have asked, most of my stories are not suitable for children. They are probably age 15 plus. There are a few of my stories that might be suitable for younger readers. There's a few in Once Upon a Twisted Fairy Tale that might be suitable for younger readers. There's maybe one or two in Strange Love that might be suitable for young readers, but they're very much aimed at adults. Those stories are in between very adult stories, and so I wouldn't leave my books with a child unsupervised. That I don't recommend. I do write for adults in these particular stories. Some of you that have been following along might be aware of my Malcolm the Werefox novel, which isn't actually out yet. That one will be for slightly younger readers, and you can read a Malcolm story in my book A Tale of Two Princes, but again, that's at least a PG-13, I would say, just because there's a few adult references in it. Readers over the age of 13 might enjoy A Tale of Two Princes, where Malcolm does make a brief appearance, but the vast majority of my stories are aimed at adults, so please don't buy them for children just because they say fairy tale on them. Join me on Monday for my next vlog. I will be here talking about something, hopefully telling you that I've finished this painting, 6 AM UK time. But if you can't wait until then to see me again, I will be here every single morning in your shorts, taking a great big deep breath, letting you know what I am grateful for that day. Sometimes I'm letting you know what's challenging me that day. And I'll be here on a Witchy Wednesday doing an intuitive tarot card pull for you. I can't do a personal reading at the moment because they're currently pre-recorded because I'm redecorating my living room. But if you want a personal reading, you can book those through my Ko-fi as well. Until then though, you have yourself a beautiful day.